Good afternoon. I really wish I was going to stand up here and tell y'all I was bringing truckloads of money and all you had to do was come sign up in the FSA office and we were going to write you a check. But, you know, we need to be honest about this, and we all know that we are operating under the new 2014 Farm Bill. In that Farm Bill, everything financially now is geared toward crop insurance. Y'all have heard that 100 times already, and I'm going to try to keep on saying this. The first phone call you need to make after you leave here, if you have not already done so, is to call your crop insurance agent. He is now the most important person you can deal with. The second phone call you need after you leave the crop insurance agent is your financial person. If you borrow money or if you anticipate you're going to have to borrow money, you need to get started right now, whether it's borrowing money from FSA, whether it's borrowing money from Ag South, Arbor One, the local bank, whoever. We are anticipating that it is going to be very difficult. Even before this flood event, we were looking at cash flow projections based on these prices and our average yields in South Carolina, and it was going to be very difficult for us to make loans going into 2016. We knew that, and we were trying to get prepared. But now, we have now added insult to injury, and we have a flood. There are going to be farmers who have no crops to sell, and I can't stress this enough. You know, a lot of people think, well, it's not quite so bad. I want to tell you it's bad. Now, in some areas it's worse than others, but in some areas of this state, there's going to be zero production. You look at those fields, now I don't know what was planted in them, but if there were peanuts planted in that, or cotton, and they're underwater, trust me when I tell you there's zero production likely to come off of that land, even if it doesn't rain anymore for the next month. That's highly unlikely. We all know we're getting ready to get into what we call our rainy time. The closer we get to winter, the more likely it is that we're going to have some additional rain showers that are going to keep us out of the field and go call to that quality adjustment that you're talking about. Every time it rains from now to when you harvest your crop, quality goes down. There's nothing a rain can do now to help you as far as quality. And it is what it is. I wish, again, we had an answer that we could say we're going to have some money available to directly pay you for those crop losses. But any direct money I believe you're going to get is going to come through your crop insurance. So please, if you haven't already done so, make that call tonight before you go to bed, and make sure you get scheduled and get on that list so that you can get that adjuster out there as quickly as possible. There are going to be issues with quality adjustment. There's not a lot we can do about it. Hopefully we are going to have adjusters that are going to be reasonable and are going to come out and work with us. But again, the crop insurance end is not something that comes under FSA, and I want to make sure it doesn't come under Hugh, doesn't come under FSA, it comes under RMA, and it's privately sold under most of it Rain and Hail and a couple other big companies. But we just have to take advantage of what we got. I hope everybody bought up the max that they could buy. I know that's not the case. I know some of us bought the least amount we could buy. We had an issue, you know, if you have a lot of center pivots, you really don't buy a lot of crop insurance because you've invested your money in irrigation so that you can make a crop. Most of the time when we have losses, it's because we had dry weather. In South Carolina this year, I have now asked the emergency team to declare 2 disasters. One for hot, dry weather 3 or 4 months ago, and we got declared a disaster. And now, 3 or 4 months later, I'm asking Washington to declare a second disaster on the same crops for too much rain. Some of y'all that may be older than I am, maybe y'all can remember a year like this. I can't. I just can't. I've been farming myself since the early 70s, and this is the first for me. I was talking to my wife the other night, and I said, I don't remember a year that's any worse than this one, and that was when it was just hot and dry. And then I said, you know, I should have not spoken, because as soon as you say it can't get any worse, it does. And I want you to know, those people that are working behind the desk at FSA, we understand what you are going through. And we are going to reach out and we are going to help you in any way we can. We've got a few things that we can work with. While direct payments happen not to be one, let me give you a little glimmer of something that might be coming. I suspect some payments are going to start dropping by the end of this month on the ARC PLC that you signed up for. Now that was for the crop years that you planted in 14, but I've looked at the numbers and I do anticipate you will be getting money for any PLC peanuts you had, and I believe you'll be getting money for county ARC on corn. Now I'm not ready to tell you what numbers those might be. Obviously county ARC on corn is going to be different by county, because everything on county ARC is based on a county average yield. And I want to tell you right now, I live in Calhoun County. Some of you may live in Orangeburg. While we don't see much difference, there could easily be a difference in the payment in Orangeburg County and Calhoun County, simply because these are all based on county averages. So I want to tell you before you start talking to your neighbor and he says, well, I got $40, and you say, well, I didn't get but 38. It's based on county averages. So just understand that there are going to be some variations in those county ARC payments as they start hitting, hopefully before the end of this month. I would like to say they're going to start in the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, but you know, I'm not sure exactly when they'll start hitting, but they've told us they're going to make every effort to get them out in October. Let's talk about a few things that we do have to offer when you've experienced something like this. The one that I believe we will take the most advantage of is an ECP, Emergency Conservation Program. How many of you had ice storm damage a year or so ago? Some of you. Y'all probably participated in the ECP program. It helped pay for the cleanup around your fields and all that, and we tried to make it as easy to work with as possible. This is the same program that will now be activated. You can go into your FSA office right now, tomorrow, and fill out an application if your office is open. Some of them are open, a few of them are still closed. This program is going to be designed to help you with any debris removal that may have washed in. It's going to also be available to help you repair sod waterways, ditches, any of those type things on your fields that may have gotten washed out. But the one thing we can't, and I just messed up right here. You see that road right there? While I can help you fix the field over here and the field over here with ECP money, I can't help you put the road in. Now don't ask me to explain why, other than that's what our book says. And if I haven't learned anything working with the federal government, if it's not in the book, I can't do it. I try to find gray area every day, but this was not going to let me find any gray area. So we have to work with NRCS, and we had a meeting with NRCS today. So what I want to ask you to do is when you go into the FSA office and you sign up for an ECP application, I want you to go straight down to the NRCS office and sign up for them to help you if you think you got any roads that are going to need to be repaired while you are working on those fields. You can do the work all at one time. You'll simply get help from FSA to do the field work, and then you'll get help from NRCS to do the road work. So please, before you do any substantial amount of work, actually before you do any work, I would encourage you to come in and get an application signed. One of the things that the book says that if you do the work before you come in and sign up for the application, we can't help you because we can't tell what you did and what you didn't do. So come on in. Obviously, you know, they got issues. And those fields are going to need to have some dirt moved. I've got some waterways that are blown out on my farm, so we're going to need to do a lot of repair work this winter. So come on in and get signed up. I think that's going to be probably the best program we've got going is the ECP program. So if you even think you got a problem, come in and get that application signed up. Charles?
Do those payments count against your payment limitations?
No, these are going to be separate. They will not count toward payment limitations. They do have a limitation on them. Right. We have to go through steps to how much we can approve on the local level, the state level, and the federal level, but no, they will not count against our limits. So that's the first program that I wanted to make sure you are aware of, and that's probably the biggest thing I got to offer. I don't know if we got any livestock. Did anybody suffer any livestock losses? Cows, chickens, goats, anything like that? If you did, we've got a program that will help pay. It's called LIP, L-I-P. I would encourage you to come and sign up and, you know, do that within 30 days of the loss of the livestock, and we'll do it.
That pertains just to the livestock, not the pasture or forage?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Will that apply to the forage and pasture also?
Pastures, if you show that your pastures are underwater and you had to go out, that's under another program called ELAP. And that's, what is it, ELAP? It's got some abbreviations to it also. It's Emergency Assistance for Livestock, Honeybees, and Farm-Raised Fish. Okay? So if you've got a loss of hay, come in and apply for it. Now, the problem with that program, quite honestly, I'll tell you the good and the bad, you're not going to get any direct assistance. That program is limited to $20 million for the whole country, and it runs per year. So you have to come in and apply. We'll determine what you are eligible for, and then at the end of the year, we see what percent you're going to get paid. So that's not going to be any money in your pocket right now. You're going to probably have to wait about 10 or 11 months for that to run its course before you're going to be able to capitalize on that. But that's just the nature of the beast, because it's only $20 million in the pot for the whole country. Honeybees, if you lost honeybee hives in the flood or whatever, that would be covered under the ELAP. EFRP, we took care of that during the ice storm a lot. Say you've got a field and you just replanted it in pines and it's in a low-lying area. They get flooded out. EFRP will assist you in getting those replanted. But we have to come out, you have to make sure you, obviously we won't know if the trees are dead for a little while. But that's another program if you have timber that you believe would, you know, got drowned. Any orchards, peach trees, anything in here? We got a program, if they did, called TAP, Tree Assistance Program. If you had a peach orchard and you had a low-lying orchard bottom and an acre or so got flooded and stayed flooded and killed the roots, we can help you replant those peach trees or muscadine vines or whatever if they got drowned. Now, the one that's probably got the most money available but nobody wants to have to do it are emergency loans. They are available. You can come on in. But I want to tell you before you get mad, you have to qualify for the loan. And qualifications doesn't mean you suffered a loss. Qualifications mean you suffered a loss and you will have a plan to pay us back because it is a loan. That means your operations got to be able to cash flow in order to pay that emergency loan back. And we know already that it's pretty stressful times. So that's why coming in early and working with your farm loan officer, again, we don't care where you go to borrow money, okay? We are the lender of last resort. That's what we are. So if you get turned down, and guess what? Let me add a little more insult to injury. before you qualify for our emergency loan, you got to be turned down by 2 traditional borrowers. So that's just the rules, guys. I didn't make them. I don't like them, but I got to enforce them. So before you can get that emergency loan, you have to go to Arbor One or Ag South, 2 different people, and they say, you know what, I don't think I want to touch that loan. Then you can come and we will try to make you a loan. But again, you still have to cash flow. Short of some additional money being put in the budget, earmarked for disaster relief for South Carolina, I believe that's all we have to work with. Miracles do happen, and we looked up after Hurricane Hugo. There was some assistance inserted into the budget to help farmers recover after Hurricane Hugo. So I'm not saying it can't happen, and trust me, I hope it does happen. And I know that Hugh and other people, we are calling our congressional people, trying to impress upon them how bad this is, because we want to make sure they understand. When we put our numbers together, we believe 70% of the cotton crop has been lost. We believe at least 70% of the peanut crop has been lost. And we believe about 50% of the soybeans have been lost. If you had group 7s or 8s, you got a chance on the soybeans. You had group 5s that were ready to cut and they underwater. There's not going to be much there when you go there, I don't believe. So we are trying to impress upon our leaders how bad this really is. And we don't want people to take lightly. A week from now, when the waters have gone down, everybody thinks the problems went away. A week from now, when the waters go down, is when we're going to realize just how bad it was and how bad it is. So I'll be glad to answer any questions. I know we've got a stressful month or 2 coming up. My brother went to the peanut field yesterday, and we had some peanuts dug before the rain ever started. And he said he just happened to pick up one of those vines to see if he thought they were drying. But when he picked up the vine, all the peanuts stayed on the ground and the rotten vine came up in his hand. We're going to see a lot of that. With peanuts that were dug prior to this rain, a lot of them are going to stay on the ground and aren't coming into that combine. The ones that come into the combine, I don't know if they're going to be good peanuts or seg 2s and 3s. We won't know that till we combine some and get them graded. But again, let me impress upon you the 2 phone calls you need to make if you haven't already made them. Number 1 to your crop insurance adjuster. Number 2 to your financial lender. Because those are the 2 people that you're going to have to work pretty close with in the coming months to make sure that you have the opportunity to farm in 2016.